Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Mixed Media Monday. I am Ophelia, and today we're going to create our own ephemera. I feel as though in a lot of the videos I've gotten stuck in a rut with using different collage sheets and such like that, and I thought it would be a great idea to just kind of create my own. And so I hope that you will join me today in playing with we're going to paint some papers, just do some neat things on paper to create our own ephemera. So I've got quite a bit of toys that I end up playing with when I paint papers. You by no means need all of this. Literally some paint, some paper, and you're good to go. But I'm going to talk you guys through the things that I use whenever I create papers. And so the first thing that we're going to need are just a variety of papers. I've got some dictionary paper, pieces of drawing paper, and I had a roll of this at home that I just kind of ripped apart. More encyclopedia papers and such like that. This is old computer paper, I think it is. But just different types of papers that I just want to kind of play around with and paint on, just so that my journal pages can have a little bit more of me, and also for the selfish reason that I'm almost out. So I thought today it would be kind of fun to make some more papers that I will later use in my journals. So I've covered the paper. Let's talk about some paint. So the first thing I'm going to use is my Jerry Studio Gesso, and this is just white gesso, and I just realized like my bottle's pretty beat up, but I use this gesso for everything. So just some Jerry Studio acrylic gesso. I am going to use a variety of acrylic paints, and not all of these go into the same piece of paper, but if you want, that's totally fine. I've just kind of put all of mine out. Again, I think it's my standard paints that I always use, the Lucas Krill Studio paints, and I've got titanium white, I've got some rose, carmine, Indian yellow, this one is fluorescent magenta, this one is Sennelier's number 615, I've got some light gray by Lucas, some turquoise by Lucas, and fern also by Lucas. I'll just kind of, you'll understand the process and why I've got so many things at my disposal once we start playing along. So I've got my palette set off to the side here. I'm also going to be playing around with some different inks. Liquitex here. I've got, what do you call this? FW inks. In more, or I should say, I'm also going to be playing with the art sprays, and these are by Marabou. So I've got a variety of colors here, and I'm going to mess this up. I've got a variety of colors here that I'm just going to kind of grab at as I start playing. I've also got some of this FW ink in just a Soho spray bottle that I will use over some stencils as I start playing. So I just grabbed a variety of stencils, and then here, I'm going to move these. I'm also going to play with some watercolor pencils, and I just have the Derwent ink tints and graphite tint. And I told you it's a lot of stuff that I play with. I've got some oil pastels, and these are just gallery oil pastels that I like the texture that it gives me over the papers. And lastly, some these are Soho colored pencils. And let's not forget my trusty Jumbo Jet black pencil. I'm also going to use this when I create papers. If you have any questions for us, please leave those down in the comments. We'll also list all of these supplies down in the comments below. I hope that you will grab your arsenal of art supplies and join us in creating our own ephemera. So, stay tuned and just keep watching. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is grab my pile of paper here, and what I want to do is use gesso, but I don't want to cover the entire surface evenly. What I want to do is leave some skips so that where some items hit the gesso and non-gessoed surfaces, they give me a different look. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take a little bit of my gesso, and I'm just going to randomly paint this around the page, kind of like so, where you can just, some areas have gesso and some areas are left blank. And I'm going to keep going, just randomly getting gesso out of the container, randomly painting different papers. And I don't know what else I was going to say other than my brush is dirty. On this part, you don't have to be neat about anything. And actually, I think one of my favorite parts of doing this is that I honestly don't have to be neat about any of it. And so there are days when, can we even see what I'm doing? Okay, because now I'm everywhere. There are days when I head to my studio and maybe I don't necessarily want to create something finished or have like a finished all-out journal production, but I still want to, I think it's important to at least show up every day. And even painting papers to me is an act of creating. So this is something that I find that I enjoy doing because it's pretty mindless. You just kind of stop thinking about stuff and just start playing around in your supplies. And for me, that's important. So a lot of times I will just get a bunch of these gessoed in advance, and then I almost go on autopilot. And you will see as we go that you just kind of, here, let's do this one. You kind of tune out the entire rest of the world, and you just start playing around in paint, and that makes me happy. So let's do it. I'm also going to use some gloves in a bottle because I forgot, and this is going to get us a little bit messy because I think after I gesso, I really don't use my paintbrush anymore for this because it literally is just now playing in paint. And so I'm going to move my gesso out of the way. I'm going to get rid of my brush. I am going to move all of these aside and let them dry. And we're going to get started painting some papers and playing in paint. So I'm going to let these dry up and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got my collection of papers here dried and ready to go. And it's literally a collection of papers, from dictionary papers to, I think this used to be some sort of ledger paper. I even found kids' manila drawing paper that I'm kind of curious to see how paints are going to react to this. And I'm not sure if you can really see how I've just kind of haphazardly painted gesso on, just so that I can see the difference in the non-primed surface versus the primed surface. So I will walk us through this first couple, and then we'll just kind of speed this up, and you play along or grab yourself a drink and enjoy watching, because we're just going to get busy playing in paint. And I think I've said that 16 times, but here we go. Okay, throwing things. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this one. I'll move these out of the way. The one thing that I want you to keep in mind is as we're doing this, I don't want us to ever look at this as one whole sheet of paper and go like, ooh, why do we need all of that? because I will end up chopping this up into little small sections to use in my journal as like my own collage sheets and such like that. So with that being said, let's just start playing. I'm going to just keep my palette over here, and I'm just going to start putting some paint down. And I said I wasn't going to use my brush anymore because an old gift card works perfectly for this, because I love the look of scraping through paint as I'm playing. And let's do some of that. And remember I said we had the oil pastels because I like the dark mark that it gives when we're kind of painting along. So let's put that over there. Oh, I'm going to take some colored pencils and add some scribbles. All I'm doing is kind of literally just playing with paint, making marks. I'm not even sure if you can see this, but I love the way that this Jumbo Jet black pencil, I've got wet paint down and it kind of carves almost like a ditch in there. That, I think for me, that's the magic of this pencil, where wherever I put it down, I love just coming right back over it with paint, or carving into paint with it. That's just my favorite. I'm going to take this, a stencil, maybe a little, oh, let's do it over here. I'm going to take a stencil and just some black ink. And this is also not a job for the neat, because we're literally making a mess and having fun the entire time that we do it. Let's use some colored pencils. And this is another one of those times where it's pretty important to know like how your paints react, or I guess I should say just kind of know your paints, because for me, when I'm doing this, the best part is literally just going on autopilot. So I don't even have to honestly think about what my colors are going to do when they hit one another. I know that, you know, this color family is going to work great, or these certain colors are going to work great together, because I think it's just because I honestly always play with these paints. Maybe that's what it is, or I've been working with these paints for so long. I just honestly know what to expect, and so I don't really even have to think about what's going to happen when I do this. I can just kind of turn my mind off and just work. I've just got the, where's my package? Here it is. These fine line applicator. It comes like so. And all I've done was taken a regular bottle of Golden High Flow and attached the nib to the High Flow nib to the bottle of ink, and kind of created my own like detail pen. And this is kind of cool because now it's any color that you want. Not really concentrating on, or I guess I should say the only thing I'm really concentrating on is filling the space with paint and marks and things that will add interest to this later, because some pieces will be chopped up. I'm going to put this off to the side, and now we're just going to kind of speed this up, and I'm going to paint a bunch more, but I just like, I kind of like when I start looking at it, like already thinking of ideas where I could just chop certain areas and use that in different journal pages. So I'm going to move these off to the side, and we'll speed this up so that I can just keep playing. Okay, can we just have a moment of silence for how glorious that is? I mean, come on. So I've made myself an arsenal of papers here, and some of these are honestly still quite wet, and this, it's blinding. However, what I want you to know is that you don't need the entire piece of paper as you're working. When I'm at home and I'm just looking for an extra piece to glue down in my sketchbook or some ephemera to add to my journals, I just kind of grab a couple of pieces, and I keep my, this is just like a cork-backed ruler that I keep on my table. And as I'm looking, and I think let's just use this piece here, I will take my ruler and almost use this as like a paper trimmer of sorts, and we'll put that off to the side, because maybe, let's just do this. And like this small snippet, I don't know why I chose this piece out of all the others, because there's a lot going on in each, but yep, let's just stick with this one. And so in my journals, too late, I can, for instance, take this piece and glue down, or maybe even here, and use it as my header or something like that as I am working. So that's why I like to kind of create my own pieces of paper, just because they add then everything in my piece that I'm working on is truly something that's been crafted by me. So I hope you guys enjoyed either watching or playing along. If you have played along, I would love for you to tag at Jerry's Artorama and at Ophelia's Art Studio on Instagram using the hashtag Mixed Media Monday Challenge. Definitely, if you have any questions, if you'll leave those in the comments below. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining, and don't forget to subscribe so that you can keep up with the challenge as well. But just thank you guys for being a part of this Mixed Media Monday Challenge family, and we'll see you next time. Bye. I'm very tired. I just want to go home.
We don't have to do part 2.
Okay, good. Oh, dude, wait a minute. Newsflash. We ain't doing a part 2. There was paint on that. It's mine. Okay, that's it. And your battery died.
Let's cut.
Let's see.